Hello everybody, it's Larry and welcome to today's video. We've got something new for you. Ancestry's got something new for you and I'm going to show it to you. Two things. One is a change in the filters for the Thrulines, which can be useful, I think. And then also in the DNA matches, we've got a gold nugget there. I mean, something that's really, I think, going to be helpful. So here we go. Let's get into them. The first one is on the Thrulines. So if we go to DNA and we go down to Thrulines, you see this is the Thrulines, and there's quite a bit of people there. The filter was all potential and linked. Now they've updated it and have maternal and paternal, and you can see 117 maternal, 98 paternal. So I now can filter this, and why I think that this is really going to be handy is I had a DNA surprise, and in my experience, about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 are, and that's about 25% of the people taking a DNA test have some kind of change in their tree, either at the parent or grandparent level as a result of the test. That's my experience. Now, that may not be what Ancestry comes through as they go over the 15 million, but in the few 100,000 people that have reached out to me, that's kind of what I'm seeing. And bear in mind that I actually see probably more of the DNA surprises because of the way the channel is focused. But in this, being able to focus on one side or focus on the other, I find that to be really handy. And then for those of you who know, okay, I had the DNA surprise, I had a different, father, so I had all this lineage was different, okay? And so we come down here, it's Peggy C, and then you get, it's all boxes until you get here. This is my first potentials at the 4th great grandfather. Valentine Cagle, C for Cagle, which turns out to be Peggy C, Peggy Cagle, which I should have had a clue. That's at the 3rd great grandparent, James McFarland. Right here at the 2nd great grandfather, his daughter married a Cagle. Now, I didn't jump to that conclusion because I had Crittendens, I had Cagles, I didn't in Clark, and so which one was the C, the Peggy C? Families live together. Well, there was some stuff that I can do now to figure that out, and we're going to talk about that when we get to the DNA matches. We'll refer back to this one. That's why I brought them up here. I wasn't just rambling there. That we're going to bring that up in the DNA matches part. But I also found out on my mother's when I did my DNA surprise that the same thing happened to my mother. She ended up with a DNA surprise with a different father too. Long story for a different video. But 75% of my original tree was changed. So before, where I had all ancestors, so it was great, except that right here, 75%, which in this case is just 3 out of 4. When you come down here, when you've got 8, that's 6 out of 8. And you come down here where there's 16, there's only 4 of them that were there before. It starts to get real confusing. By the time you get out here to the 3rd great grandparents, I can't differentiate who's in which line and whether it's right. But now, by being able to filter over the maternal and paternal, it breaks it down into digestible chunks. I refer to this as an apple theorem. If I give you an apple and you try to eat it all in one bite, you're probably going to choke. So by being able to filter this down by paternal and maternal, I think of it as like slicing the apple. And once you make the apple into some slices, it makes it much easier to eat. Okay, it's much easier to eat an apple that's been sliced up than trying to stick the whole thing in your mouth and try and chew it at once. So that is a very handy additional feature now that's been included with Thrulines. Next, in the DNA matches, click on DNA, go to matches. We've got a couple new filters. Is it not wanting to go to the matches? Come on, Ancestry. There we go. All right, so first off, this is going to sound kind of critical, and it's going to be critical, and I don't mean it to be this negative thing, but I just don't know how else to say this. This sort, it says sort by relationship, okay, and that sorts by centimorgans, which, parent, child, close family, first, second cousins. The other one is sort by date, and I just don't get a purpose for this. I really don't. So I've got 8th cousins, 5th to 8th cousins at 6, 7, and 8 centimorgans typically, who have their DNA tests have just processed this last week, okay, in the last 7 days. I have no idea how that's supposed to be of value to me, that knowledge, that sort. If you do, please put it in the comments below, because I'm not seeing it. Maybe you can help me see it. Maybe you can help me, teach me how I can use that to my benefit, maybe using it and a different cross reference. I mean, I still have the filter that says people I haven't viewed. So anybody that I haven't viewed, they have the blue dot and I can search for them right here. And I really care about, the people that are close enough to match into my list. And I don't see any blue dots here. So I don't know how I'm really expected to use that sort and find out people that have taken their test in the last 7 days or the last 30 days. Genealogically, the calendar date that somebody took their DNA test just doesn't help me in a genealogical perspective or a family history perspective at all that I can tell. So if you know a way that I'm supposed to be using that, again, please, if somebody works in Ancestry or just somebody watching the video, put it please in the comments below. I really do want to know, because that's just something odd that's in there. It's like we have all this metadata, and so we added it for a filter. I can give you some more that I'd like to see in here. That's not one of them. Groups is still there. Filters is still there. Now, I promised you the gold nugget. I know that sounded critical, but now we're at the gold nuggets. Now, first we got match name, and that's the names in this first column. So I can search here, my mother, Linda Perryman. I can type that in right there. And it had these two fields together, okay? It said, name, and then it said location. It had the two fields. It's broken it out. The thing that is really nice now is surname in matches tree. I've actually had a tree pulled up from a match, put it up on my other monitor, copied the surname, posted it in the search before, did the search, and it wouldn't come up. And that was extremely frustrating to the point that I couldn't trust the search and I quit using the search. It was just not useful. It was not reliable. If I searched for McFarlane, even the particular spelling that the family unit had, it would pull some up, wouldn't pull others up, and I would be looking at the trees on multiple tabs on another monitor. I mean, like I said, in some cases I actually copied and pasted it in there and it wouldn't pull it up. That was very frustrating. Now, because they've broken surname out into its own searchable field, I think they're searching slightly different, because I'm starting to see the results be more consistent. And so to me, that's an extreme positive. Another thing here, they include similar surnames. It's much like the search that we have up here, where the surname says similar surnames, Soundex or initials. So I think this may evolve into that. At least I hope it does, because that way we get consistency. Because these same trees that we're looking for here are the same trees that we get when we do a search up here. So why shouldn't it be the same? I mean, it should be. So I think that this is going to evolve into that. So I really like the fact that that's been broken out. Location, it was just location before. And again, kind of like with the surname, I could be looking at a location. Sometimes it'd bring them up, sometimes it wouldn't. And I really didn't find a consistency in that to make it usable for me. However, now they've defined it and said, okay, birth location in the matches tree. So now it's looking for birth locations. And I think this is an important delineation. In fact, this is the gold nugget. Out of all the things that we've shown today, this is the one that I think makes me the most excited, because it allows us to look at birth locations and nail that. Now remember, we talked about Peggy C before and the Valentine Kegel, and I should have recognized that. By doing birth location, I probably would have recognized that. I could have put Kentucky or Henderson, Kentucky, and it would have pulled this up. And I would have seen Peggy C, and I would have probably seen some matches for the people that had Valentine Kegel, because some of the people in my extended Thrulines actually pull up and have that in their tree. I don't have it in mine, but they had it in theirs, and it would have shown up. And so to me, that is of great value. That is a real 24 karat gold nugget right there. I think that's going to help people get through a brick wall. Now, if somebody at Ancestry is watching, I'm going to ask you for something, and which I think would turn this into not just a gold nugget, but a whole mine full of gold nuggets. Add death location, please. The birth location is great, but we have to remember that in the history of the United States and in most countries, there was a migration pattern. And in this migration pattern in the United States, it went from East Coast to West Coast. And the families, I've got, one family had somebody born in North Carolina, one born in South Carolina, two born in Kentucky, one in Tennessee, and then 1 in Missouri, and then 3 in Arkansas in the same family unit. And then the family lived in Arkansas, and they all died in Arkansas. And their next generation was born in Arkansas, died in Arkansas, and then the next generation after that moved out. So, and around the U.S. and did another migration. So when I looked at the birth locations in this, if I put in, the North Carolina or South Carolina or Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, wherever, I don't see that grouping for even siblings. Because you look on a census, you'll see, mother's born one place, father's born one place, kids born, maybe the same place or maybe a different place, and maybe the kid's born in several different places. But if you look like on the Find a Grave and the final information, it's very common to have family units buried in the same place. Mother and father in the cemetery and the children in the same cemetery, or at least in the same, general vicinity. So they may be in Kentucky, but not in the same cemetery, but maybe they're in the same county in Kentucky. So that is very, very handy. I think, birth location, that's a gold nugget. I mean, for some of my family units, that's going to help a lot. And for other family units, if you were to give me death location, oh my goodness, it would absolutely group those together. Instead of, having, in my example before, having maybe 2 kids or 3 kids that were born in Arkansas grouped together with, the parents. The parents were born someplace different, but, them and their kids, it would have put all that family unit, it would have matched 3 generations together there for death. And it only put 2 people from an older generation and then 1 generation. So you had 1 generation plus 2 people in birth, but you have 13, and then each one of those had like 10 kids, and each one of those had like 10 kids. So you've got this massive groups of people under death location that would have been identifiable in a cluster. So hopefully, just like I think that surname will, grow and add. Hopefully the birth location, maybe you do it like the checkbox here, birth, death, maybe birth and death, birth or death, or maybe it's a drop down here, birth, death, marriage, however you want to do it. But I really hope you consider adding death location in there, because I think death location actually has more value than birth location. But don't get me wrong, I think birth location has a lot of value. It is a gold nugget. I just think that you could have a gold mine with the death location there as well. So there you have it. We have new changes to Thrulines, which most people don't even know is there. It could be handy for some people. And the searches, the improved surname search. It's not necessarily new, but it's definitely improved. They've broken it into its own field. And the location now being the birth location in the matches tree. By identifying, what they're targeting, I think that, they better communicated with us how it was really working behind the scenes, so that when we were typing stuff in, maybe assuming it was getting all the locations or, looking for different things, we now are communicating with Ancestry exactly, or they're communicating with us exactly what they're looking for. We know how to use it. So to me, this is a win-win. So the DNA matches definitely improved. For those of you who, haven't seen this before, maybe some of your friends haven't seen it, you're probably going to want to, let them know that this is there, because that birth location thing might just get them past that brick wall. That is a tool to do. And then also on the surnames, maybe, they've done the surname search like I have before when it was just 2 searchable fields there. Now that it's broken out, I would recommend you try it again with those surnames you're having problems with. You might find that you get a little bit better end results. You might get the same ones, you might not get anything new, but there's a strong chance you might get, at least a couple more clues, and I think that is always of value. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Like I said, I don't think many people know this is out yet. This is very, very, very new. In fact, I just found it today. So this is less than 24 hours old, at least as it's come to me. If you don't have it yet, maybe it's rolling out soon. There's nothing, you click here, it doesn't show as anything beta. So it says right here, there's no betas available at this time. So I assume that everything we're looking at is production. So pass it around to your friends, and hopefully you can help them out the same way. And again, I appreciate you all. You guys have a great week.